there's a big hole in the ground, that's the one you're aiming for.
Welcome to Carlsbad Caverns, New Mexico. As you can see, we have the same great views that we had in Big Sur and Cadillac Mountain in Acadia. Just this beautiful stuff where you get to look out and imagine what it must look like.
Fortunately, we are going inside a cave today, so we don't really care that much.
Yeah, there shouldn't be fog inside the cave.
Did you find one?
Did. One patch on the national park.
Sweet. Okay, so this is the first national park that I've ever been to, I think, where you enter through a building. So you park and everything, but you really don't show your ticket or your reservation or anything, or even your annual pass, until you walk into a building, through the building, and then you go down to the caves. So, a little different. So this must be the giant hole in the ground that our ranger was telling us about. She said there's a big hole in the ground, that's the one you're aiming for. Can't miss it.
There's a bat right behind you, right there on that wall.
Awesome.
Right there. Turn around, look at it.
No.
Yeah, it's right there.
No.
You could almost touch it. I bet you could touch it.
Stop. I know that's what you're doing. It's another meat hole thing. It's pretty big. It's very reverent. It's like being in a cathedral because nobody really talks out loud. I'm even whispering right now. There's nobody around. It reminds you of an entity bigger than yourself, which is also like a cathedral. It also reminds me of a Dr. Seuss book without the colors, which is nothing like a cathedral.
Okay, so I want to show you guys the map because it really made a difference for me when I saw it. It's one of those places where a map really isn't necessary because you're walking a one-way route, but it is nice to kind of see where you are inside the earth. So we started at the visitor center. We literally walked through the visitor center to get to outdoors where this main entrance is. That's also where the bats come out. This is where the bats kind of live and hang out in this bat cave. And then you just make your way like way down. It was kind of cool to see. And there are multiple tours that happen from rangers. I would recommend it, but we didn't get to do anything like that. So maybe you guys can. And if you do, you should talk to us about it and leave some comments below so that we kind of know what those tours are like. Carlsbad Caverns has been around for a really long time. One of the first documented discoverers of it was a guy by the name of Jim White, 16 years old. So that was back in 1898 when Jim White, first came upon this place. Back in the 1920s, they actually started putting in the first trails. Amelia Earhart came here one time. I think she even signed up to be like a guide or something like that. In the 1920s, like 1926, they had one of the first wedding ceremonies down there. Isn't that crazy? So the caves are not dog friendly, but they do have kennels. And I thought that was so cool that they have kennels at the visitor center for dogs and maybe cats. I don't know. But how rare is that? What a really nice perk. You don't go into national parks all the time because they don't like you.
On our way to Carlsbad, we listened to another episode of National Park After Dark, as we are wont to do, and we heard this crazy story that we thought we'd share with you. It's about two guys named David and Rafi, and they went hiking and camping in the park. Well, they didn't take very much water with them, and they didn't take very much food with them, which turned out to be a really bad decision. And they ended up camped really only a mile away from their car, but they were so dehydrated that they got lost. When rescuers found them, they found only Rafi, and when they asked where David was, he said, "He's right over there." And when they asked a second time, he pointed out that he was under a pile of rocks, because evidently David had gotten so dehydrated that he asked Rafi to kill him. And Rafi did so, and then buried him under rocks about 8 hours before rescuers were there. They were only out a total of 4 days, and a big case ensued. Rafi ended up pleading guilty to manslaughter, so he didn't face murder charges. They were friends, and so I don't think that Rafi came up with this big ruse to lure him out here. They were from Boston, so I don't think he lured him halfway across the country just so that he could murder him and then tell everyone that he had killed him. So I do think that David probably asked him to, but I don't know. That's just crazy what dehydration will do to you. I don't know if you could say a mercy killing happens only after a few days without water, but that's what they said happened here in Carlsbad. We enjoyed our time in Carlsbad. It was short and sweet. You really only need about half a day to spend in this park. To hear all of our thoughts on Carlsbad, tune into the podcast. And we're wheels up headed to Phoenix, so make sure you're subscribed to come with us.
That's right. And I'm curious how many of you guys have been to Carlsbad and if it kind of creeped you out. Do you do the cave thing or not? Do you do the cave thing? Is it your jam or not?
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, you tell us if you are into caves because we want to hear all about it. All right, guys, life is short.
Wander well.